All right, folks. We now, as soon as every time I jump off the air, something new happens, and that's what you have happen sometimes. We've got a new tornado warning in effect for Carroll County until 1 o'clock in the morning. That almost includes Hillsville, the southern part of Hillsville here. It also includes Fancy Gap, just to the west of Cana. There's another tornado warning in effect for Surry County until 12:45, I believe. Surry County, Carroll and Surry until 1, with that one, the other one, yeah, 12:45. These both are moving up in a general northerly direction. We saw in just the past 5 or 10 minutes how quickly things can change, and it goes to show too that the HER model was pretty much on the money here, showing that as the night went on, we could see things ramp back up. And the amount of rotation is starting to concern me because it's jumped back up now. If you look at this storm right now in the Carroll County, you can see that, just making sure everybody's watching, and everything's fine. Hit me up with a Facebook message. If not, I'll see it pop up on my phone here. But you've got winds away from the radar here, kind of broad, but close enough. Not seeing too much in the way of a debris signature. If anything, I'm not really seeing that. Yeah, it's not really lining up with or co-located with the circulation. But there's a circulation there. Yeah, this thing is spinning like a top in Carroll County. So we're going to go off to we had a special weather statement put out for this area. Now we have a tornado warning, and the one remains in effect too. This is an impressive storm too in Surry County. There are two cells that we're watching in this area. And again, one down here, the one down here is from 12 now through 12:45, and now we're looking at the new one now that covers part of Virginia, now in the Hillsville and southern Carroll County here until 1 o'clock. So if we zoom in even more, we'll get an idea of some of the locations that are in the path of this. I'm going to change the background imagery so you can read these towns maybe a little easier. Gardner Mills, Brown Store, that's 58 right there. Route 702 and Interstate 77 is under this tornado warning, and this is pretty obvious to me that you can see that rotation there. I'm going to let's see, I'm going to draw within the program here. So it's right near Lambsburg, and it's moving again to the northeast. And it's also near Dren. These are some very small communities that pop up on this program, but I do that because some of my other software does not include that. So it looks like 608, 97. I'm reading some road numbers here. Higgins Crossroads. We can zoom in even more. Let's get an idea here if we go all the way in. Stewart's Creek State Wildlife Management Area. So we do have a tornado or a wall cloud. It's probably right in through here. And I know that looks pixelated, but that's the actual radar data without any smoothing or kind of any fake thing. We're continuing the tornado warning, moving north at 35 miles per hour. It's near Cana on the National Weather Service display there. But the community of Dren, you are right in the path of this. That's Sugarleaf Mountain there. Lambsburg's on the east side of the circulation. Could have some hail in this as well. We got another 26 minutes for this tornado warning. 775, and again, if you're in Carroll County south of Hillsville and including Hillsville, you need to be sheltering in the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Get away from windows and cover your head. A lot of people like to go into the bathroom because the plumbing in the wall helps hold the structure together if there is something that's actually on the ground. I've seen footage in countless studies where the whole house will be gone, the outer walls. But an interior room, like a closet or a bathroom, is held together fine. Tornadoes are very fickle. As strong as they are, they can do some weird things. Uh, the rotation's certainly there. It's not super tight, but it's certainly there, and I can see why they've continued that tornado warning and why it was issued. The other one, we don't want to forget our friends in Surry County near New Hope and Dobson. This is some rotation here too, approaching the Hollyview Forest, Highland Park, White Plains, and Red Brush, New Hope, and Mount Airy, Sulphur Springs, and Slate Mountain, Salem, North Carolina, Combstown, Oak Grove, Franklin, North Carolina, I-74 and Route 52 under a tornado warning until 12:45 for another, say, 8-9 minutes or so. But we've also got this one in southern Carroll County that I'm very concerned about. That's put out the tornado warning now until 1 o'clock. Spectrum width, not off the charts here. And again, this is a tropical air mass, so it may be hard to see, but I have to keep checking on it just to make sure. This is storm relative velocity. Sometimes these circulations will show up better. It's not as obvious as terms of the pixels aren't quite as detailed, but the circulation's more obvious in my opinion. And it may have just crossed Fisher Peak, just jumped from North Carolina into Virginia if it's on the ground. I feel like it could be on the ground at any point. It could do with it in between radar beams, but I feel like it's right on the verge of a tornado. And I do think we've at least got a wall cloud there. Certainly a strong rotation, or maybe even a funnel cloud. You can't see it though because you've got rain wrapped around it and it's nighttime. Okay, scan just updated here, so let's go into Dren and Lambsburg. And again, this is Route 608 and Route 620 is right where McCarroll Road, Piper's Gap Road, Mount Carroll Road, Route 700, Route 620. This is in Southern Virginia, Southern Carroll County. Interestingly enough, technically Fancy Gap is not in this warning, but Fancy Gap, I would still treat this as a warning as if you were in it, and hopefully your phone still went off because you're close enough to the track of this to where I think you need to watch out too. Particularly because you've got another tornado warning upstream in Surry County. Now the thing is, these are big polygons and this is a big map. The truth of the matter is a tornado is like a needle in a haystack on this map, right? It's not the biggest thing in the world. Even within this radar pixel, if I zoom into one single pixel, one of these little squares, sometimes, I mean a lot of times a tornado is that small. It's even smaller than one of these little blocks. Okay, so what we're seeing on radar most of the time isn't the tornado. It's the mesocyclone that's producing the tornado. And so we look for a tightening there. Looks like our circulation is still strong, but it's definitely broad. It's more on the broad sense, where our ways are now at Higgins Crossroad and Piper's Gap. The wind going toward the radar north of Lambsburg. So it's a very broad circulation. And I think I can measure that. Let's see. So it's 4.7 miles in diameter. The circulation is. That's a large circulation. If you were looking for an actual tornado, you would want that to be very, very close, within like under a mile, well under a mile. So that gives me a little bit of hope now that this maybe has cycled on through, but something could have spun up there in a real quick hurry. The rotation has now broadened quite a bit in Carroll County, but officially we're going to respect the polygon. Brown Store, Woodlawn under the tornado warning, Beamer Knob, Sunnyside under the tornado warning. And we're continuing the one down to the south too, in the Surry County until 12:45. At 12:39, we got a severe thunderstorm producing a tornado located over Toast. And that is moving near Mount Airy, northeast at 25 miles per hour. So if we zoom in here, we can probably find Toast on this mapping software. There's Hollyview Forest Park, White Plains. And we've got the Northern Hospital of Surry County here. Mount Airy's a pretty populated area compared to the other areas. There's Toast right there, which is on Route 89. You got the 52 bypass here, Route 103, Route 104, Riverside Drive in Surry County. And this is actually a tighter circulation, but it's not as strong on the wind end. It's also further away from the radar, though, so we need to remember that. Don't see an obvious hook echo. You usually don't in tropical type things. Don't see a lot of spectrum width here, but just to look at the polygon, again, it's Toast, Franklin, Bannertown, Oak Grove, Combstown, Flat Rock, Sulphur Springs, Slate Mountain. And this warning stops before it gets into Patrick County. The one in Carroll County continues until 1 o'clock. And so if you're in Hillsville, that special weather statement was put out first for the broader circulation. So the warning technically cuts off right before you get to Carroll County High School and North Main Street. But 52 south of Hillsville is where you run into the polygon with the tornado warning. Going back to our velocity here. Still looks pretty broad. The rotation looks weaker. We loop this, and you'll see that it started out strong and tight, and now it's fallen apart and weakened quite a bit. Where you had those, I'm going to load 14 frames up instead of 7. Now watch this. All right, so I'm going to show you as it came in, it spun up there. Let me get rid of that little box. Right there. And maybe 1 or 2 radar scans, boom, right there, and then it weakened again. So it was weak, came together right there on the county line, and now it's weakened again. So right as it crossed Fisher Peak and Round Peak, it strengthened. Thank you, Steve Chapman Jr., for following me. I appreciate it, buddy. TikTok. The tornado warning for Surry County has now been dropped. That's no longer in effect. So now, and we've shaved down. That's what happened. They took Surry County out, but Carroll County is still in effect. So the one down to the south still is, but this one in the Carroll County still is going on here. But honestly, again, the rotation has broadened quite a bit. You'll see that again here. Watch this. So I'm going to put this on. We'll back it up. Look at those yellows and greens right there. Just south of North Carolina state line. That was real close together. That's when Weather Service jumped on chat and said, hey, we've got this coming up. We're going to have another tornado warning coming up. As it neared Virginia in the state line, it tightened up even more. Now right here, this was at about, let's see, 429Z. This was at 1230. That was the most intense circulation, and it was right on the line, just to the west of I-77 in southern Carroll County, northern Surry County. It held together for a few scans. There you see it, 12:31, 26 seconds. Another minute and a half at 12:33, it started to broaden. And then after that, really started to fade away. It looks like we had some strong straight line winds, though. But look what's happening here. I'm looking at these yellow pixels, too. Some more activity is trying to twist a little bit. We're starting to see more kinks in this rainfall. See how it kind of curves like an S? Those are little embedded areas where the storms are trying to get going and spin up again. So we might have to keep it here for this part of this event. Will the cell stay strong as it moves north? Peter, it will probably stay on a cycle. It'll probably weaken. It could get stronger again and then weaken again. So it's going to be very important to kind of watch minute by minute what's going on. One thing I will tell you, and they've canceled that for right now, so they've canceled it. It's gone. There we go. So we have no warnings out right now, but I'm going to hold it here this time because there's another area of circulation here that's developing now. You can see how fast it develops near Boonville, East Bend. This is North Carolina. It's still broad, but now and this is still Surry County, now in southeastern Surry County near Pilot Mountain. We've got some lightning showing up, a sign of an updraft getting its act together perhaps, and quite a bit on the storm relative velocity. We got quite a bit of storm relative shear here. So this is concerning. We may have a new polygon get issued. This is reminding me now of the afternoon. Those of you who saw it earlier, and I was saying, you know, it wasn't as bad on the afternoon, you know, compared to what the afternoon showed. It's now starting to look a little more like the afternoon in terms of seeing these repeated small areas within the same county. So the same county may be getting 2 or 3 alerts from these very tiny ones. And in fact, if you want to talk about size here, you could argue almost that you've got some circulation here still south of Cana and near Mount Airy. It's hard to tell. That could also be some outflow that's just combining with the ambient wind out there. But this is going to bear watching very carefully as we go into Patrick County. We're starting to get some thunder and lightning in southwest Patrick County. North of Mount Airy, there's a kink in the reflectivity here. So I mentioned a short while ago, Patrick County folks would want to stay on guard for the next hour or so, at least. And I do think that you are in probably, if I had to tell folks in a county situation the seriousness of this, I would say southern Carroll County and Patrick County, Stokes, Surry County for right now would be the main counties I would watch. Just checking things up to the north, make sure we don't have anything crazy going on. Nope. So all the warnings are gone. But let's talk about ground truth. Just got a report in from Low Gap. So we're going to rewind this cell right there. This never got a warning for it, but there was some straight line wind, I believe, that came through Low Gap. Got a little bit of a circulation there, a little dark green to the light green. We got a tree down, and that was at 12:10. So the Weather Service is doing a good job of getting these reports right in and matching up with the radar. So you can get a tree down, and again, that's what I was mentioning. You can get a tree down even without having a severe thunderstorm because the ground is so soggy. You're getting 20, 30, 40 mile per hour wind gusts out there. They're going to knock some trees down just because the ground is so wet. Got a new special weather statement coming out. As I look at that, though, I'm very concerned about this area of Surry County, south of White Plains and nearing the Pilot Mountain area. And if you keep track of the weather in this part of the world, some of the most beautiful country you'll ever see. But this is the spine of the parkway, just about the Blue Ridge through here. This area actually gets warned on a lot because of the topography. It actually enhances the spin, I believe, or something about it that does that. Now, if you look off to the south, too, this is somewhat concerning. Winston-Salem through Thomasville, Denton, these areas have some broad notches of rotation showing up on the Blacksburg radar. Down near Welcome and Lexington, Clemens, nearing Winston-Salem. So there's a special weather statement out for this area. Winston-Salem, High Point, Albemarle, Thomasville, Clemens, Doppler, and they're saying that this is out of the Raleigh National Weather Service. Doppler radar has indicated a weak rotation with these storms. If they intensify and rotation were to strengthen, a tornado warning would need to be issued. So if you're watching or have friends near Winston-Salem, Thomasville, Denton, and it's not quite in the Asheboro Seagrove. This would be the route you take to the beach down through Ellerby and Rockingham, right? but it's just west of there. I'm seeing some signs of tightening rotation here as well, and that's along that same line. So the line has intensified on us now, and we're seeing more lightning now. And you say, well, why is that important? Well, sometimes lightning, an increase in lightning, it's called a lightning jump, and it can indicate a storm that's intensifying a bit. I want to make sure I use all the tools here, and I don't like keeping viewers on one image very long. I want you to be able to understand it, but I don't want to bore the viewer either. Unfortunately, people have short attention spans. The weather's exciting, so I try to make my maps exciting, or at least match the weather situation and still keep it valid. So this is the radar picture kind of on a broad sense. And you can see the more powerful lightning strikes are the bigger ones here. Mount Airy, the King to Louisville. I just wanted to show you how that's a consolidated line, but within the line now we're starting to see some hooks trying to develop. Got a bit of an inflow notch perhaps here south of 58 in southern Carroll County. This is crossing the mountains. Now, I would not be surprised if this continues moving north and northeast. Once it crosses the spine of the Blue Ridge, if I take the radar data off, see the topography here? So, and I mentioned this earlier, sometimes what happens is these storms will come off this spine of the parkway or whatever, and they'll be rotating in a broad sense, but then as they come off the parkway, they've got more room out from under them, so the column is stretched and it gives us a tighter rotation. So sometimes just looking at the topography with this information can be extremely helpful, because it gives you an idea of what could rip a storm apart in certain cases and what could cause it to strengthen in other cases. And in this case, you can see as that storm came out of Surry County and into Carroll County, that big drop-off on I-77, well, the rainfall was probably enhanced, but the fact that it did slam into the mountains do not prevent tornadoes, but they can disrupt the flow, and that may have been part of the weakening that went on there. But when storms come off the mountains, sometimes they can strengthen. Getting an increase in lightning activity, Winston-Salem, Greensboro, I-85, I-40, and 240 down there, it loops through. I'd also watch out Greensboro and the Asheboro. I'll take it back north. We don't have a lot of lightning, but we've got some of it in Pulaski and in Giles County as well. Let's put on the bigger radar here. We're going to tilt this a little bit, and we'll put on our 3D lightning. And we'll loop that for 6 hours. Just want to kind of give you an idea with the warnings there of how everything has evolved throughout the evening. You can see it's a negatively tilted line, meaning that it's going from southeast to northwest, and it's running into the mountains. It's creating some big flooding here. We've got a lot of rainfall back here. A tornado watch still remains in effect, by the way, until 2 o'clock. I'm going to add that to our layers. Let's see. Watches. And you can see the warnings there, the smaller polygons where the warnings have been coming out along this line. There's the latest image. So areas that are still under a tornado watch still include the Roanoke Valley area, even though it's just raining right now. It also includes Bedford County, this tornado watch. The watch is the less severe of the two. The warning is to take action now. And actually right now, I don't have any warnings in effect. I do have a special weather statement in effect, and I'll get to that in just a second. But just want to remind folks the watch includes Franklin County. It also includes the New River Valley, Radford, Pulaski, Blacksburg, Christiansburg, Floyd County, Carroll County. You've had a couple of warnings already. I think Wytheville is in the clear, although technically you're still in the watch. But down through North Carolina here, down to Kannapolis and Charlotte, this is the line, and that's the watch that's still in effect. Although the lightning with the line is already out ahead of the watch. So I don't know if we'll see something out here toward Greensboro and Asheboro in terms of a watch or not. But the National Weather Service in Raleigh is watching that very carefully. In fact, we can turn on their radar too. Before we get ahead of ourselves, there's the new special weather statement, and I'm going to draw it again for you because it's hard to see my SPSs here. You can go to my Twitter page and see those as they come out. This is the new, it's not a warning, it's a statement that basically says we're watching this, and it could be a warning at some point. Fancy Gap Cana, got some weak rotation here. We've actually got stronger rotation down to the south of there near White Plains. That continues to be an area where the air's just trying to spin. But if you zoom in, you can see tighter rotation there. That's what, 52? Yep, it's 52 coming out of Cana. That's where we've got some rotationing. I just made up a word. You're going to hear some really discombobulated words here coming up because of the lack of sleep from this guy right here. White Plains, Surry County. I just don't like to look a lot of this, and so let's see. I don't see any debris. Not that it would really pop up on this particular image. I definitely see circulation. One of the things that could be happening that's intensified this line is when you get dry air that moves in, that actually, when it moves in aloft, it clears it out. But if you've got moisture underneath that dry air, you can see it all there. The dry air actually is like cold air, so it's very unstable. The dry air is actually heavier than the moist air, and a lot of people don't, you think of humidity as being heavy, but actually the water, the way the molecules work, the added atom of the water makes the moist air lighter. So the moist air wants to rise. This drier air is coming in above and wanting to fall down. So that's adding some lift and some instability to this whole line that's moving through. I do notice that our surface winds, they were so much out of the east earlier. Now they're more out of the south-southeast. That's actually a better sign. That means there's not quite as much wind shear. We still have, and they're still crossing. So, but instead of like 9 or 45 degrees, we've got more like 30 degrees. Just eyeballing it. And if we quantify that, we'll go to our SPC page here and look at the amount of wind shear. You can still see it's pretty impressive. I go to our supercell composite. You can see how those values have indeed risen since the last time we talked into the New River Valley. They've even gone up into West Virginia, but the highest instability, and you gotta combine these two really. It's hitting in the Roanoke, these higher values here in the Franklin County, Pittsylvania County, and Henry County. Also noting that Virginia Beach area, you're not under a watch or anything or warning at the moment, but there's a little bit of wind shear over you. But by the time we go into the next couple of hours, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, that's going to shift off to the east of Lynchburg probably. And I don't know if it's going to hold together, but we'll keep an eye on it. We now have 40 knots of shear over the area. That's pretty high for our area. That's potential for something to spin up there. And then as you move into, this is through Virginia here, through the rest of the night, it weakens a bit to 35 knots, and we also displace the maximum values of shear up across the Stanton area into the Allegheny Highlands. The HER model was indicating that we could see some rotational activity there going into the highlands as well. The mountains don't protect you, but they can disrupt the flow somewhat. So the latest run of the HER is the 4Z, and that goes out in enough time where I can show you this. So this is midnight, 1 o'clock. Let's Let me reload this. Okay. Yeah, it's 4Z is the latest I can show you. This is right now what it thinks. No, that's an hour from now. So at 2 o'clock, the HER is still going with Patrick County, Henry County, and maybe Floyd County. I just want to show areas over the next hour that could be hit by this line. Greensboro, Winston-Salem could be hit in the next 60 minutes as the line continues moving to the north and to the east. It should still be out of the Roanoke Valley, but it'll be knocking on the door out of Blacksburg and Pulaski and Lewisburg here as it starts to move into Rockingham County, North Carolina. This is a future projection of the radar picture according to the HER based on the very latest computer model. This updates every hour. This was the previous model. You can see it's in very good agreement. And the previous model actually takes us into 3 a.m. And at 3 a.m., that's when Roanoke, Franklin County, Boones Mill, still in Floyd County, but all of Henry County down through Greensboro and areas to the south near Asheboro would need to watch for potential for rotation and stronger storms. Carroll County would be clear by then, but Craig County, maybe by 2 or 3, would have to watch out. The next couple of hours are going to be getting worse east of I-77 up to the Roanoke Valley area. We've got a new tornado warning now for Carroll County, Patrick County, and Surry County until 1:30 a.m. Just now coming out, so let's go back to our radar. Hasn't even popped up on the radar yet. It will any second. It's probably from this tightening here that we've seen here near Mount Airy. Mount Airy, you need to take cover now. Mount Airy, North Carolina. That's right near you, man. Don't see any debris yet, but that is a tight circulation. Those values are pretty tight together. There's our new tornado polygon. And I'm going to read you the tornado warning. At 1:01, National Weather Service in Blacksburg issued a tornado warning for northeastern Surry County, southeastern Carroll County, southwestern Patrick County until 1:30. We've got the severe thunderstorm and the possible tornado located over Mount Airy moving north at 40 miles per hour. There it is. That's a well-defined circulation, folks. It's radar indicated rotation. There's no confirmation on this, but it's moving north at 40. So locations impacted would be Mount Airy, obviously, Flat Rock, Everett, Cana, Laurel Fork, and Toast. Take cover now. Move to a basement or an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. Avoid windows. I want to be away from windows. If you're outdoors or in the mobile home or in a vehicle, move to the closest substantial shelter and protect yourself from flying debris by covering your head and hunkering down. This is a pretty dangerous looking storm. So I'm going to take the watch off and just have the warning up here for you on this screen. So this is Patrick County here. This is a very small polygon, but it's a tightly packed storm. And so that includes Mount Airy right up against the mountains here and going into Carroll County. That includes 58. You can see some lightning there popping up live on your screen as the storm continues moving to that area. We'll put the NEXRAD data on here. And we'll activate live scans so we can actually kind of see a little bit of a hook here, or at least a little inflow notch maybe near Mount Airy. A little bit of a curl there in the radar imagery. Our live scan is activated, so as the radar spins, we're going to get the data right as it comes in there. And you'll see that in just a few seconds. There's a wider view for folks that want to know what the rest of the area looks like. We've got some notches here that are concerning, but by and large, the one right now that's cycled up and spinning up is near Mount Airy, North Carolina, moving to the north at 40 miles per hour. I can put a track on that for you. Click to start a cell track. I'm going to do a cell track. There we go. North at 40. There's 24, 30, 40. So if it holds together, it would move into this part of Floyd County. But in the meantime, it's this area. It's probably not going to hold together very long. We hope not. But you've got about 5 to 10 minutes until impact if this is indeed on the ground, and it could be. It's in Mount Airy, just north of White Plains. White Plains are in the clear. It's I-74. But you need to be getting to your safe place right now. It spun up in a real quick hurry. If you go back on the radar picture here, you can see that this is White Plains, Surry County here. You had some broad rotation, and we'll see that a lot. We'll see broad rotation. That as it crossed here, as it crossed I-74, it really tightened up, and that's when the warning was issued. There you see the red polygon go issue out there, right there. Boom, Mount Airy. Good news is I don't see a lot in the way of debris showing up, so this is only radar indicated. That's not to say it's not serious. You treat it like you would any tornado warning. You get to your safe place. Fancy Gap in Carroll County is not included. Cana is not included. In fact, the rain's about to end in Cana. But right up the road, just 8 or 10 miles up the road, in Patrick County, they're sheltering for a tornado that could be on the ground right now. Got some pretty tall echo tops too. Tropical systems normally are pretty shallow to the ground, but this is a feature that lets me see how high those radar echoes are going. And those are pretty high values there, getting up around 35, 36,000 feet. These are storm tops in the yellow, and those are where updrafts are going up into the atmosphere. Let me check my National Weather Service chat. Heard a couple dings. See if anybody's saying anything here. We'll get an update pretty soon on this, I'm sure. Don't have anything at the moment. Still a flash flood warning in effect for Boone until 3 in the morning. This is our latest image. It just came in. I see a very a tight but large circulation here near Mount Airy. I also see another circulation near the county line there. And don't forget, our topography right through here is where the mountains are. It could be related to that. Sometimes you see stuff go in this. Just to remind you, this is on the Virginia-North Carolina state line, south of Blacksburg, south of Virginia Tech, north of Yadkinville and near Winston-Salem. Also got some more activity down around Winston-Salem, by the way. Surprised there's no warning out for these areas yet. Was it Davie County? Near King, there's some rotation here. Clemens, Wahlberg, there's some weak rotation. National Weather Service in Raleigh says they are watching this, and there could be some tornado warnings coming out for this area very soon too. But the one that's in effect right now is for Patrick County, extreme western Patrick County, right near the Parkway in the Carroll County. I guess the good news is there's probably not a lot of population in those areas, but if it hits one person, that's one person too many. So that's why I'm staying up tonight for you. The amount of rotation can be measured, and it shows up here. This kind of gives you an idea of exactly where the spin is, and it's right there just north of Mount Airy. And we can put that back with a few frames, and you can see how it has evolved over the past 20 minutes or so. You see how it kind of tightened up right over Mount Airy. Trying to listen to scanner traffic too, see if I get any reports coming in from that area. The line is still moving off to the east. The good news is after it gets through you, you'll have the worst weather once it's on top of you, the worst of this whole system. And then just like that, it'll quiet down. You'll get the drier air coming in behind it. By the way, this is the remnant circulation of Tropical Depression Fred. Let's see, we find a center near Pikeville, Kentucky. And I don't even think the Hurricane Center is drawing any cones for this thing. It's going to move up through West Virginia, some rain in West Virginia, maybe some flooding issues around Charleston tonight in West Virginia. It's this area right through here, that line of storms is the concern. Infrared satellite picture, this is to show you kind of a different perspective. I'm going to my Radar Omega app and 7 frames. It's a different color palette, so I'm trying to get used to what I'm seeing here. It looks like that's it right there, the rotation's just crossing in the Virginia on this. But to list a few locations, Nestor, Crooked Oak, and that's near Route 58, Gladesboro, under this tornado warning, Everett. Carter's Mill is not technically in the polygon, but you're close to it. So is Belair Springs. You're very close to it. Route 614, that area, Patrick County. And we're going to go in a little tighter here. We'll get as many of these little places as we can for you. Here's the Blue Ridge Parkway. Doe Run Road in Patrick County in this polygon here. Groundhog Mountain. Let's see, we go Dodge City Drive. The tornado warning is continuing until 1:30. There's an updated polygon you're going to see on your screen. Starting to see more of a hook now on the reflectivity. That's not good. We're starting to see something like this, where you'd have your possible tornado here, your updraft wrapping into it, your downdraft coming down around it, and right there is your potential tornado. It's starting to look more like a classic, unfortunately, it's starting to look more like a classic supercell. And that's actually what the HER model had. I posted about that earlier this evening. I said, you know, that's when you see hook echoes showing up on the model, you've got to pay attention to that. And I was ready to say maybe this is going to be it for the night, but this has really spun up into something, I tell you. Still no debris being sighted, though. No confirmed reports of anything. I do have a little bit of a lowering here, but I don't know if I can call that anything. But yeah, definite rotation. So now it's no longer a Surry County issue, it's just a Virginia issue. It's just crossed now, if it's a tornado, it just crossed into Virginia, southwestern Patrick County, and eastern Carroll County. We are in southern Virginia, south of Virginia Tech, and northwest of Winston-Salem. We've got Fred's wind shear east of Fred, Tropical Depression Fred. We've got a line of storms, and we've got wind shear. We've got wind coming out of the southeast at the surface. We've got wind coming in out of the southwest aloft, and we've got some powerful upward motion. That's all combining to produce this developing situation here. It could be a tightening tornado in southwestern Patrick County. It's going to be hard to get reports out of this area. If I remember correctly, it's pretty hard to do. I'm looking for a ZDR arc too. That's a radar, that's a reflectivity, and I haven't been showing reflectivity a lot because it hasn't really shown any hooks throughout the evening except for maybe an inflow notch or two. But this is starting to look more impressive, that curvature there. That it's C-shaped. It's looking more like a supercell to me. It's kind of a different way of looking at it. This is the velocity off my 3D radar. I've got a number of apps that I use just to kind of show you. You may want to watch out in Floyd County now. If this continues, it's going to continue maybe on this path, and that would put it going into Floyd County, western Floyd County in Virginia, getting pretty close to the radar. So our radar data will become more reliable as this particular cell moves in. Reflectivity on this imagery, you still see that little curve that we've got going on. And then if we widen the view here, you see there's the line here. There's a tornado. It's moving north at about 35 miles per hour. See if we can get the, let's see if I'm going to get the National Weather Service image. Here comes our new scan while I'm looking for that. Boom. Still seeing within the warning a bit of a circulation here. You've kind of got an arm up here and an arm down there, maybe a rear flank downdraft developing, and just nearing 58 there. That's where we could be seeing our possible tornado. There's old radar data. There's new velocity data coming in. It's still there. It's becoming a little more linear, but it's still there. Got a few lightning strikes out ahead of this. This is our wind shear. This is kind of a neat way of looking at the potential for rotation. And so Southern Virginia here, this is the North Carolina line. Mount Airy, North Carolina is there. They were under this warning earlier. Now we're going into, again, Carroll County and into southwestern Patrick County, Virginia. Just past Route 103. There's quite a bit of spin, and so that's showing up where the blue and the red is popping up together, and you can see I've got the flashing tornado warning just to kind of remind you of the polygon that we're looking at there. Hillsville is out of the woods. That line continues moving off to the east. Here comes a new scan, and looks a little stronger now. Looks a little stronger. Let me go back to my velocity. Yeah, it's a little tighter. That orange is meeting that darker green there pretty good. Storm relative velocity doesn't look as good, but I'm probably seeing a little bit of a drop in the correlation coefficient. I don't know if I can call that anything again. And still a little bit of a hook here going on just near Route 58 in Patrick County. Let's take it back to this particular radar. There's the hook. I know it's blocky. I'm going to smooth that out for you. You see right there, it's a little hook. That's the mesocyclone rotating around here in southern Patrick County. It looks like it might be tightening a bit. And what we're also seeing is it's getting closer to the radar. So now instead of looking at 4,000 feet up, we are looking at 2,000 feet up. That's a lot closer to whatever spin we've got going on. So in radar meteorology, you've got to remember the world's round the radar sites right here. So we were looking at storms all the way down here, and my program computes how high up the beam goes out straight, but the Earth curves up underneath it. So the further away from this radar, the higher up in the sky we're looking. Well, the problem is if you're looking on the edges of the scope, you're looking at the mid-levels of the storm. The tornado is going to be very close to the ground, especially in this tropical system. The cloud bases looks like you can reach up and touch them. And unfortunately, that's allowing for the development of tornadoes a lot easier, especially in North Carolina today. They're going to continue the tornado warning until 1:30. Getting another update there. You may hear some chatter on my scanners. I'm going to turn them up a little bit too so I can kind of get an idea if any reports are coming in. There's the new polygon. They're shifting a little further to the north. Floyd County still not under the warning technically at this time. There's still a hook echo, a small hook near the line. And Carroll County goes out to the east too. So this is now Patrick County's down here, Carroll County's up here. But there's definitely a curl. That curl is right on the apex of that curl is where the possible tornado is. And I can draw that. It would be like this. Sorry. Something like that, okay? And watch this. We're going to put our velocity on it now and see if it lines up. And if you take it back, it's actually that curl's a little, it doesn't line up as much as I thought it would. That's what I get for trying to impress y'all. This is according to the velocity. So Ararat is on now south of this. I think you're okay there. But now if you go into Carroll County now, back into Carroll, you're looking at this circulation about to cross in. Let's put the thing into motion. Sometimes you can actually see the spin. And kind of watch it there, watch the yellows. I know it goes by kind of fast. You can see a little bit of a spin. Let's put the radar on and see if you can see it. Spins up a bit right there, right toward the edge. I'll slow it down. Right there. That hook started developing around Mount Airy, North Carolina. Moved out of Mount Airy. Still got like a hook and a bit of an inflow notch there in the Patrick County. And then you take it back up and even hooks in even more and goes into eastern Carroll County. There are no other tornado warnings in effect other than this one in eastern Carroll County. See if they're going to extend it. They're not saying yet on chat. I don't want to bother them too much. This is in effect until, what was the expiration? 1:30? So another 6 minutes. I would imagine they may extend it because I don't see, it's kind of iffy. It's a little more broad now, but it was a little closer here. But it's still there. It has indeed weakened. And what happened is it's hit those mountains again. And I don't want to tell people that mountains destroy tornadoes. You can get tornadoes that cross mountains. They don't care if the storm's strong enough. But in this particular instance, it did weaken. The rotation just happened to weaken as it crossed over into the next county, which is Carroll County. Now, if the rotation wants to spin up again, it could happen. And it's still there. We still do have that polygon. It's just a lot smaller in coverage now. I still see sort of a hook here, a little tail right there, and a bit of a hook. We definitely probably have some kind of mesocyclone. We're probably, if you could see this in the daytime, there would be some kind of a wall cloud or kind of a rotating hybrid of a wall to shelf cloud. We've seen some of that. Some interesting features here. That's kind of crazy looking. So let me think of what's going on. That's storm relative. So looks like it's maybe becoming more outflow dominant. In other words, you may be seeing a little more wind now coming in around the rear flank downdraft of this, like this, pushing out this little boundary here, and there could still be some spinning going on in there, but sometimes you see this stuff cycle and become more of a linear system, and then it may spin back up into something as well. The tornado warning for Carroll and Patrick County is now gone. It will be gone off the screen here in just a second. It has expired as the circulation has indeed become more linear. And that's why it's important, because if you looked at this, you said, okay, two colors are still together there. Your reds and your greens are still together, but it's all about the relative position of the radar. And the radar is right there where that circle is. So earlier we had this, lining right up with the radar, the different colors. And now it's more like this. Instead of like this, it's more like that. So that's why the warning's been more of a straight line wind threat right now. Got some stronger storms in the Pearisburg. I don't see any rotation right offhand that jumps out at me. There's some broad rotation through here. Parrott now, Pulaski County, no warning, but some very heavy rainfall, some thunder and lightning, and some gusty winds for sure. And now we're going to have to watch and see if anything were to develop through Patrick County, Floyd County. So new areas, as I sign off here, new areas to watch are going to be Franklin County, maybe Roanoke, maybe Montgomery County, Craig County, pretty much where the tornado watch is still. Patrick County, Danbury, watch out Stokes County, and Rockingham County, and Henry County. Montgomery, Roanoke, Pulaski, Floyd, East Carroll. Carroll, you're about to get out of this though. Patrick County, Henry County, Rockingham, and Stokes County. I'm going to jump on the scanner, see if I can't get a few reports, see if I can hear any damage, and I'll be back on if I need to. Stay safe, everybody. And thank you so much for watching.